In this video, I'd like to show how to use selections to create layer masks and give you a lot more power when you're editing. Previously, we used the paint tool, paintbrush with black and white paint, and you'll still use that to refine edges and whatnot. But initially, sometimes it'll save you a lot of work if we start off with a selection of sorts and then use that or convert that into a layer mask. And so I'm going to use a sample little rubber ducky here. And so what I want to do is I'm going to use the quick selection tool here, and I'm going to go ahead and select the easiest part of the image. Now, whenever you're using any of these selection tools, it's easiest to select solid areas. So if you're ever working, you want to separate out an image from its background, it's always best to work off of a solid background as opposed to, let's say, if this duck was against, a chain link fence or a bunch of leaves or something like that. Very difficult to find the edges and make a clean selection. With a solid background, it's a lot easier. So you're going to make your life a ton easier if you do it this way. So again, with the quick selection tool, I'm just going to go ahead and select the white area. It's set to add to, so that means it's just going to add to the existing selection. So now I have a selection. It's pretty close. I think it's pretty tight. And so now I want to use that as the source of my layer mask. So under the layer menu, again, there's multiple ways to do the exact same thing. Under the layer menu, I have layer, layer mask, and previously we saw we only had reveal all and hide all. Now that we have a selection, we have some options here of reveal selection and hide selection. Now, usually I would just take the show of hands and say, okay, well, if I choose, which one should I choose, this one or this one? And it's a 50-50 proposition. Now, you can answer this at home. Which one should I choose? Well, I have the background selected. So if you don't want to see the background, which happens to be selected, I want to hide selection. Okay, and boom, it goes away. The background is no longer visible. You see the checkerboard, which represents transparency in Photoshop. So if I went in here and created a new layer, and let's just fill it with a color. Let's go with, let's just go 50% gray to keep it simple. Click OK. Remember, change the layer order, drag it down, and now I have my mask here. Now, it did a pretty gnarly job of this with the edge of the mask, and we can go back in and refine that. But this is kind of the idea, is using a mask to start off. So you know what? Let's see if we can do this a little bit better. And this is actually a good approach. If for some reason your mask does not come out the way you want it, you can actually delete it. So you have the layer mask here, you got the little trash can, you can actually just drag the mask to the trash can here, and it'll ask you if you want to delete it, cancel, or apply. Applying it basically removes the information or deletes it in a destructive fashion. We don't want to do that. We want to delete it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this, let's try auto enhance and see if that works better. It probably will. So again, whoa, get back down here. Scrolled a little too far. All right. Now we have a better selection. Again, layer, layer mask. If we forgot and we said reveal selection, all we're going to do is get it knocked out like this. And that's okay. A handy thing to remember, you can either undo that and then redo it, or with a layer mask, or with any layer actually, here's our mask. Black is, we want to switch it. So we want white to go black and black to go white. Command or Control I will do that for us. It makes white go to black and black go to white. So we basically flip-flopped our layer mask, and now we have a tighter mask here. As we go through this, I'll show you different ways to clean up the edges, but I just want to show you how to use selections to start off with a layer mask. Let's go ahead and do another quickie little thing here. Yeah, this could work. So on this one, we'll use a selection tool. Again, we're going to pick, let's make the brush a little bit bigger. So all I'm picking is these solid areas here. As you can see, this image is extremely underexposed. And so what I want to do is I'm going to create an adjustment layer to fix or correct this underexposed area, but leaving the original properly exposed areas hopefully intact. So here I'm going to go in between these edges. And again, the beauty of using a layer mask, whether it's on a layer or an adjustment layer, is that you have a lot of flexibility when you're editing this. So again, I'm going to go ahead and try to do this a little bit more quickly. Hopefully that's catching up. It's very slow. I'm not sure why. Just because I guess I'm too darn fast. That's it. That must be it. Okay, so we can clean some of this up. I'll just leave it for the sake of this exercise. Come on, computer. Speed up. All right. Wow. Beautiful. Okay, let me remove that because it took too much. And so on this one, all I'm doing is trying to really refine the mask, but we'll leave this on there so you can actually see how this would work. So what I want to do is bring that back down. Now, in the previous example, we actually saw that we had to go under a layer and, layer mask, reveal selection. We're not going to do that in this case. What we are going to do is create a layer mask, and it will automatically use our selection as the mask. It's a very handy little proposition here. So under layer, we'll say new adjustment layer, and I'm going to go with curves. Surprise. Click OK. And notice here on my adjustment layer, it has this mask right already set up. Okay, that's the mask. So when I do start making my adjustments, clicking on this, and I push up on the shadowy area, what it did though, and here's the deal, is because I selected the window area in the background, it's actually adjusting it. Remember, the white areas are the ones that are being affected or showing through. The black areas are the ones where you don't see the effect. So what's our handy shortcut that we just learned? Command or Control I for invert. We'll flip-flop that so you can see white goes to black and black goes to white. Bring the mask back on, and now our adjustment is only appearing in that masked area. So we can really push this, and again, this is so underexposed. It's really troublesome, to kind of get that the way we want it, but at least we get something out of it better than what we started with, which was this. And now the background and everything else is becoming a little bit more properly exposed. This area is right here. These are the chunks that I missed the first time. Again, if we don't want to see that effect, or we do want to see the effect, it's black or white paint. In this case, I believe we want to see it. And I'm going to change my brush size. So I'm got my paintbrush. Oops, grab the paintbrush first. And click on the mask so I can edit it. See, if I do it back, inadvertently, so I use black paint and that's hiding the effect. Command or Control Z to undo that. Switch back to white paint. And now I'm just going in and painting. Okay. So, and here you can do the same thing. I'm not going to do that for this exercise, but you would go back in. Same with this area here. Even after the fact, if you've missed this area and you want this not to be affected, you can still grab a selection tool. I'm just going in and adding this part back in. Okay, that looks fine there. Let's see on our mask. Yeah. So on this, what we need to do is actually remove that adjustment because it's showing through right now. I'm going to paint it with black paint. So I have my selection. Remember, the selected, you only work inside the area you're selected. So I'm going to paint with the paintbrush. Oops. Sorry. You got to switch tools. They look a lot the same. Paintbrush here. Now this is the actual paintbrush. All I'm doing is painting with black paint. And let's go ahead and deselect that. Get the quick selection tool again down here. One last time. Paintbrush. And again. Command D or deselect here. And now we have a better adjusted image. So again, with the before and the after, you can use your adjustment layers and masks perfectly. So that was using selections as a starting point for a layer mask, whether it be an adjustment layer or an object on a layer that you want to isolate from the background. Let's see how, in another video, how we can put all those steps together and actually make something really interesting and useful.